Welcome everybody to another episode of the Compassionate Citizens podcast. This podcast was started a couple of years ago and was inspired by Norland Dimmitt out of Chicago area. And Norland has his Compassionate Citizens Foundation, which is kind of where what inspired this podcast that we're on right now. I'm gonna pass over to you, Kurt.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kurt Roskoff. I'm here out of the Milwaukee area, here in the great state of Wisconsin, in the fantastic country of the United States of America, and to this republic for which we stand. So we are allegiant to compassionate citizens, not only here in the USA but everywhere across the globe. So we are here to bring out the most compassionate topics and characteristics and examples and exemplifying the people who are practicing compassion. And so this is a little bit of a monkey see, monkey do type of mantra. And I believe by chance that today, thanks to our friend Mark, I think we learned that today is actually like National Monkey Day or something. So we're here in celebration of all these compassionate things. So we're compassionate to our monkeys today. And today we had fun with our Happy Neighborhood Project friend, Nick Davis, who is out there as the banana man. He's doing insurance and it's just bananas. And, he's even got from Ian Kingwell from our HMP Australia chapter, or hosted co-host group from Australia, Ian Kingwell, the captain there, sent to Nick Davis an actual rubber banana. So it takes the resemblance of a banana, but when you hold it up, it looks like a banana, but then you just poke it, and it's obviously Rubbermaid bananas. So we're having fun here. I have a little mantra that I say: what's fun gets done. So we're here with Jennifer A. Whitaker and Emily Gulmer, and we're gonna have these ladies of fun pour it on a little bit. You're gonna dive into the workings of Jennifer A. Whitaker, and she's gonna share a little bit of her personal journey and her personal workings and what the three of us are all doing together to bring out topics in Christianity and nutrition and in mental health and stuff like that. And so in my practices, I've kind of fallen into a great opportunity within the disability community to be what they call an ally of the disability community, to be a representative of how being a person that for government purposes and whatever, not documenting a disability, but yet compassionate to all of the systemic oppression and things going on, where there's change beckoning to be had, that by the direction of people with disabilities, that with the 2 billion people around the world that I identify as the people for me, that define for me how the world can work better under the definitions of people with disabilities. And I call these people with disabilities, again, 2 billion people around the world, the masters of ability. And so that's my practices here. And in trying to do the best with it, I've kind of extrapolated and expounded and kind of branched off to more general study. It makes me think of my social studies courses back in school. And so with that, it brings me to social ministry, social mission, social service type work, not being paid as a social worker or anything like that, but because we leave that to the paid professionals. But kind of right there is that nice neighbor to social workers all around the world, and to say, what can we do from the private sector to kind of complement and supplement the limitations of government entities. And so all this type of volunteer work does elicit compassion, it takes that entity or that element of ourselves. It's got to be in our soul that there's that air of compassion, because that's what draws us to volunteer. And then it creates a cycle. Volunteers keep volunteering because it is rewarding. It does fuel the soul. It does have its return on investment when we go out and we pay it forward with our time. And so in the faith spaces, we might be referring it as tithing our time and things of this nature. So again, we celebrate, our brother on earth here, our fellow human being, Norland Dimmitt, who, yes, came to us through a colleague that we met through our mutual aid network. And Emily's going to be making an announcement on behalf of Mutual Aid Network. So stay tuned for that. Exciting stuff coming up, and a great opportunity for you in mutual aid. So yeah, our friend introduced us to Norland Dimmitt, and just loving the work he's doing. He's very attracted to work of beloved communities, and there is a reaction out there to what's going on in today's age of the world, 2022, and as we look to dive into 2023, starting to make those decisions of what does 2023 seem to be for me, type of introspection for ourselves. And so we have all these things that we have a premise for, and other people kind of help shape and round out what we think we might be doing ourselves. And the idea is, like, we work with Project DieHard, by Brian Gibson, president there, and with his board and volunteer team. Project DieHard serving the issue of veteran suicide. And so there's a mantra of, teamwork makes the dream work. And so this dream is about how we imagine the world around us just being better for each other, which means we're right in the realm of humanitarian work. And a lot of times when we're fortunate to have all the basics of food, shelter, clothing, and health, and we maybe have a health service, health vendors, and health insurance, and that economic position to be taken care of, sometimes it might be easy to ward off and not worry about people around the world that are suffering. So the idea is, what is our capacity to become more aware of suffering, not to bring ourselves down, but to say there's opportunity. What the opportunity is that when we learn that somebody else in the world is hurting, suffering, hungry, naked, without shelter, subjected to the elements, not protected, and then we have the element of slavery. I mean, when you learn abolishment of slavery in school, you enter into adulthood thinking like slavery's behind us. But then you start to realize that our children and our women are not protected, and even men out there, lacking protection, to the tune of slavery, and it's called human trafficking. The whole aspect of human trafficking is showing that slavery is actually at an all-time high. Slavery has never been greater in the world than it is today. With today's technology and today's capability, and like the Disney thing, it's a small world after all. These dynamics of how close we are actually leaves a vulnerability. And so we need to get educated on how we can protect each other from human trafficking, because they're very crafty. It's an art form to traffic another human being and to get away with it for who knows how long. People are getting away with it, which means they're enslaving another individual to do things that that individual does not want to do, but they do it out of fear. So this is where compassionate citizens is a huge element, and we bring it forward to you today because it takes conversation, communication, edutainment, maybe a little entertainment, but for sure education, and then we all need to learn from each other. Emily, Jennifer, and myself aren't here to say that we know everything that needs to be known in the realm of being a compassionate citizen. We keep learning each and every day from the story of others. And so, with that, you are witnessing on the job training with our executive assistant, podcast engineer, Emily Gomer, who's been doing this with us for a couple years, and she's still learning. She's still developing her style. She's still struggling with the idea of a script for the show, and she's learning how does Special K do this? Hand Special K the mic, and the show unfolds. It comes out. It's compelling and it's captivating. It's got zing, bang, boom going on. And so Emily is learning these things, but witness where she is today. She's come a long way. And with that, back to you, Emily. Let's bring up the stories of the day and head it over to the Jennifer A. Whitaker way. When you're ready, Emily Gomer, you are co-hosting. Take it away. Oh, mute. See, on the job training right here. It's raw. It's Emily.
Yeah, thank you, Kurt. So as maybe certainly some of you know, Kurt and I have been in the well, Kurt's been doing it longer than I have, but for the last couple of years, he and I have been doing some podcasts. This podcast right here being one of them. And just within the last year, yeah, in 2022, we got Kurt, how many did we have? We had quite a few people that said that they were looking to start their own show. And so Kurt and I were helping quite a few people start their own show. But I would just sort of back down to just a few. But we are going to be starting up another podcast in a month for the Project I Heard show. But we've had a few new shows start within the last month or two. And Jennifer is one of them that has started her own show or shows in the last couple months here. So Jennifer, I'm gonna hand over to you to explain what are your podcasts, and anything about what you do.
And is that for me, Emily?
Yes.
All right, then. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for listening. As she said, my name is Jennifer A. Whitaker. I am an author as well as a business owner and podcaster. I also do a little bit of tutoring because that's something that I used to have, was a tutoring company before the pandemic, and it was one of many businesses to fail the pandemic, the hard economic time. But as a result of it, I opened up Jen's Books and More, which is my business I have now, that is a bookstore with books that I write or I co-write or help in some other way of producing with other authors or writers. Some people I work with have ideas of storylines, but they don't know how to actually write it out. So it's actually somehow it's a story that I'm writing. I work with a museum for that. And so we have different people of local history impacting, and I'm the one that the museum has writing about these local big figures. I also write for, us everyday people, in addition to for museums and other businesses or nonprofits. Sometimes I help businesses with writing their blog or news releases and other ways that involve writing. However, my services are not limited to writing and editing. I also publish books for other people as one of our services, and also I do public speaking, autograph events, trade shows, and some other stuff like that that's either online or is local to me in the Houston area, depending upon what business. My tutoring is also something that I do on stuff like Google Meet, where we have a board we can share screens and I can show you how to work through a math problem or whatever, while also on video where we can see each other as two humans from two different ends and not just a picture. I also have experience in business consulting as well as bookkeeping with my master's in accounting and bachelor's in accounting. I am not a CPA, but I do have the accounting skills with the exception of the license, which is why I'm defined as a bookkeeper and not an accountant, at least according to the laws in the state of Texas, where I'm located, the Houston area. This year, I have achieved many goals, from things related to improving my health to a goal my mom gave me of writing and publishing more books, which I published 2 this year, 2022. One was Secret to Success, The Evolution of Public Education in the Workforce. That one was released in August. And in November of 22, I released Lobectomy, How It Saved My Life, Volume 1. That's the story of overcoming epilepsy. And the whole series is actually still happening right now. It's a 5-year journey of my life. Well, really 6 years. 5 years of recovery and 1 year of testings and the whole assessment to lead up what would be my options. So I'm right now working on writing volume 4, but what's on the market is only volume 1 of the Lobectomy series. I already have started 8 new books. So 1 or more of them will come out on some date in 2023. My goal is to try to finish 2 or 3, and as I finish them, get my editor involved, who will then send it back to me to be able to publish and get to my graphic designer to make the cover. That said, my goal is to finish anywhere from 2 to 3 books and to hopefully publish at least 1 or 2, if not all 3, that I complete, depending upon the process and how business goes and everything else that involves the availability of funds to pay the team. And that's while at the same time hoping that we do not have another economic crisis that has been the talk on at least Houston's local news about believing we're about to hit another great recession or about to hit another recession that could be worse than the pandemic. And I mean, it's talk. I don't know how true it is. A family member of mine is an economist, and she said actually looking at how many people are still paying, say, $65 to get their nails done with like shellac or gel and manicures or pedicures in general. She said that's usually one of the first expenses to go when we're in a hard economic time. So to her, at least here in Houston, we're still in a booming economy, even though there is talk on CNN and some other national news channels about us being in a crisis. However, there could be truth to that, because in the Great Recession, I went to college and I was finishing grad school in Virginia, and then moved to my dad's in Raleigh, North Carolina, where I could not, after college, find a job, at least besides McDonald's I had already been doing for so many years. Not even other fast food restaurants. It was just very tough. But then my mom invited me to move to Houston with her in a particular suburb where I grew up, and I'd be near probably my childhood friends, and ended up developing another social group different from people I grew up with. And the economy was booming. So within 3 weeks, 4 weeks of moving home to Houston area, when the whole globe was going through a crisis and a recession, I moved to Houston. The oil industry was still going, so we still had a booming economy in Houston, and I got a couple accounting jobs right away. I didn't really ever see any time of being unemployed after moving back to Houston. Even now, I shut one door, closing one business, and the next morning I'm opening another. And I opened this new one on January 1st, 2022, called Jen's Books and More. As Emily was saying, we started Jaws Coffee Chat podcast in September, only a couple months ago, maybe. And, or no, it was in October of 2022. And yet, here we are still going with a growing team, growing demand for more team members. And that said, if you are anybody who is a graphic designer, oh wait, actually not that, but a digital marketer or a virtual assistant, we urge you to please apply if you think you'd like to consider filling the role for a share of our profits as your form of compensation. The whole team splits the income. We each get different percentages. And if you would like to have a certain percentage of our profits in exchange for being a virtual assistant or a digital marketer, or possibly both, same for public relations, for releasing press releases and other methods of bringing about more listeners, speakers, guests for our podcast, and so forth, even for finding businesses to carry books I write or others I help write, and many other ways that we can partner up, depending upon what your skills. Please go to calendly.com/Jen's Books and More and get on my schedule. That's Calendly, CALENDLY.com/JENNS Books and More. If we find you a match for being on our podcast or to be a co-host of some sort, then I will give you the Calendly link for picking the time slot for a podcast with us. And the podcast spots are open for marketing purposes as well as awareness or for the service of helping other people in various ways for nonprofits, individuals, professionals, businesses, and so much more. We all have some kind of goal, and all of our shows relate to some kind of goal, whether it's the JAWS diet and it's related to healthy eating habits for overall health, or it's the JAWS mental health awareness that's meant to help those deal with mental illnesses and struggles that those of us who do this show also have mental illnesses ourselves. So we're live testimonies speaking of our own experience. And we've learned through different sources like therapists and psychiatrists. So we have different ways, in addition to research and our own experience, to know what works, what doesn't, at least for us in our conditions. So that's what we talk about on JAWS Mental Health Awareness podcast. And then we have what's called JAWS Christ Talk, which is about Christianity, Christ, how he is involved in the world, where we see his presence in the world, where we see him working, maybe things that need to happen in communities related to faith and the church working. So those are just a few, but we're constantly making new shows, not just of those 3 series, but also as we find different businesses, nonprofits, or individuals who want to regularly be on our podcast, then we make a new show for them with an agreement of some kind of set consistency. So listeners, y'all will know when to expect which show. And then you can continue to listen, and please spread the word, share with others that you saw Jennifer A. Whitaker, Jaws Coffee Chat podcaster, and Jen's Books and More author. Please spread the word about the World of Ability podcast, where we are right now, streaming this, and the stories of compassionate citizens, how this whole podcast right now on World of Ability podcast is all about helping one another in whatever way that may be related to our job, the type of work we do, or for those of us who are disabled, it may be the volunteer time that we serve in our communities, but showing compassion to other people. And of course, compassion to ourselves, which can be hard with some of us who are disabled because of depression and other things that we tend to give up on taking a shower or other self-love. So you need to love yourself too. And that's another thing we work on as a society, as a group that's part of the JAWS mental health awareness. We work on caring for ourselves in ways that nurture and balance us through coping and activities. But if we really do balance ourselves, then we end up able and motivated to care for ourselves, and making it easier than it would be if we're still depressed or anxious and we're sidetracked by whatever that emotion is conveying, instead of seeing the reality of something as simple as going a week without a shower or not even get out of bed, and not realizing how much time has passed to realize really what's going on within your own mind. Some of us aren't even aware, like I wasn't this month. This is December of 2022. I went through the week of Thanksgiving and the few weeks since then until today that I'm still struggling, and it's December 14th of 2022. I'm still struggling with depression. So I'm out of work, but I want y'all to know I'm an example of someone who actually is experienced and can tell you from firsthand experience. And that's why I have those 3 podcast shows, and why I'm always looking for new people to get involved in some way, whether you're the listeners, one of the listeners, you're one of the viewers on social media, subscribers, or if you are a guest speaker, another business that co-hosts with us to have our own show that's the 2 of us, or if you are even possibly a sponsor who wants to have some kind of ad spill for us to do at the beginning or end of our podcast that has to do with some product or service you offer. Whatever you may be, whoever you may be, whatever engagement you want. Emily, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, it's I think it's important to treat everybody with compassion, because you don't know where that person know what usually don't know what that person is going through, and so
Or where they've been before, right?
yeah, so it's important to be with compassion. there was something else I was gonna, I thought I totally forgot what it was. But it's it's important though. Fashion is important.
Well, do y'all have anything new that you're planning to launch or do with the World of Ability and this Compassionate Citizens, or your other shows that are the other 6 or 7 days,
Um,
or 6 or 7 episodes, I should say, but it's still only 7 days a week.
um, okay, so we have the World of Ability Podcast Network, which was started a couple of years ago, along with the signature podcast of World of Ability. But starting January 2nd, we are going to be on Mondays, and every Monday, starting January 2nd. We are going to be having a Project I Heard mission update.
What time on Mondays?
6:30 p.m. Central,
Okay.
or 7:30 Eastern. That is going to be hosted by Zeta from the World of Women podcast. Project I Heard is a veteran-owned, veteran-run nonprofit that is in Kentucky. And they have a 10,000 square foot building on 20 acres just over the border in Illinois. They are looking to fix the building up, so it's not in the greatest shape at the moment. And once they get it all fixed up, they're going to have 12 veterans and their families be able to stay at this building for up to a year and get the help that they need or are looking for. With with the whole
But if I understand right, it's
Yeah,
focused on
right.
veterans and not just people with mental illnesses, right?
yeah, the veterans, 12 veterans and their families, and getting the help or whatever they need for the transition and so on between being in the military and civilian life. And so Project that I heard is President Brian Gibson. I think it's also going to be on the show, but that's one of them. Then we have Gens 3, and then we have World of Nutrition. That was started a week or two ago with Marilyn Lemaire of Hawaii, who is with Innovative Nutrition. So we're gonna have a once a month show with her. And then we have another kind of new show that was started a month or so ago called World of Pets. With Patty Ernest out of Phoenix, Arizona. And her pet sitting business. And then we have our other shows that we've been having at the World of Women with Zeta. On Tuesday evenings, we have Blue Collar Crypto with Trojan on Sunday late afternoon, early evenings. Then we have the Ability MK Now radio show that is coming up in a few hours here. But it's with River Rest Radio out of Milwaukee. And then the kind of the signature startup podcast over the World of Ability. That was started a couple of years ago on the anniversary of the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act. January 26th, 2020 is when that started. And then I believe we have a couple other shows that are still kind of in the works. That I believe should be coming out in the next few months here. But I'll wait until those are more figured out before I mention those. But we have exciting things coming up in our podcast world. Now, moving over to the mutual aid network. The mutual aid network is another economic solution. And it's like helping people, but not always necessarily through a financial way. Time banking and a few other things are included in with this. But on Saturday, they're having one of their quarterly solidarity summits from 2 to 4 Central. And so if anybody is interested in joining that, to let us know. But one thing that's happening this year on Saturday is the Marilyn the Mayor, the one that I said started the World of Nutrition podcast, is going to, so at 4 Central or 5 Eastern, Marilyn is going to be hosting or running a karaoke party for about an hour. So if anybody is interested in either or both of those things, to connect with me, and I will get you the information. Another thing I was going to bring up is here Jennifer and I met through the Happy Neighborhood Project, which was started by a guy named Edwin. Looking to spread happiness. It started out as just one in-person event in one spot. It started out as an in-person event in California. But when the pandemic hit in 2020, they decided to move everything to virtual on Zoom. once they did that, the whole group kind of, what's the word? Like blossomed.
I was gonna say
Sorry, that's where I
exploded.
put- Yeah, well, yeah, that was the word I was gonna say, for lack of a better word. But have exploded. And now, I think at the one peak, we were up to like 75 meetings. But now we're down to about 48, I believe.
Really?
Yeah. With all the combining of combining of meetings and I think a couple other things. Where was it going? So there is so is a business networking business networking.
Well,
Group.
isn't it a professional one, or are you talking about a specific one?
No, it's like a professional, I think, well, I'm not totally sure, but I think it's professional. Business networking. That has, we have different locations around the US and overseas. That host a weekly 55-minute networking event. So if anybody is interested in that, they have a website at thehappyneighborhoodproject.com for anybody who is inclined to check that out. But one of the big events that the Happy Neighborhood Project has, one of two. One being in March and the other one being in October. But the one that's coming up in March, March 17th, 2023. So St. Patrick's Day, 2023, is going to be the International Day of Happiness event. The official International Day of Happiness Day is March 20th. However, which I believe is on a Monday, but the Happy Neighborhood Project is having a event to celebrate the Friday before, which 2023 lands us on St. Patrick's Day. Tickets are $20 as of right now. However, starting January 1st, they are going to be going. It's going to go up to $30. And February 1st, it's going to go up to $40. So I would highly encourage everybody to, if you're thinking or planning on going or attending, to get your ticket ASAP. The event is from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific, or noon to 6 p.m. Eastern. And there is going to be speed networking, prizes, speakers, and so on. So it's a really good event. Another thing I wanted to add is Edwin, who started the whole Happy Neighborhood Project, has been recognized by the United Nations for work in global happiness. The other kind of big event for the Happy Neighborhood Project is the Global Happiness Summit in October.
Do we know the date of that one or time?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
But the another thing that's special with this International Day of Happiness coming up on St. Patrick's Day is that we are trying to break the Guinness Book of World Records of the most people speed networking at one time. The current record was set in 2014 by Belgium at 1,068. So we are looking to have a lot more people than that. So anybody who is interested in either coming to the event or hopefully being part of breaking the Guinness Book of World Records, I highly encourage everybody to join us for that.
Anything else?
I'm not thinking of anything at the moment. I think it's most of what I was hoping to say today.
Do we still have Kurt?
No, I think he's busy with his multitasking with his other meeting that he has. So I'm not sure if he's gonna say anything now. But you have anything else that you want to talk about?
I just want to remind viewers and listeners, if you are interested in any of the positions or to possibly take part in the Jaws Coffee Chat podcast, or to consider talking about me doing any public speaking, autograph events, and so forth, please go to calendly.com/Jen's Books and More. And a reminder, the positions are 1, a digital marketer, a press release person or public relations professional, and a virtual assistant. And it can be done in any combination. So if you have one or more of those traits or skills, then we want to hear from you. And I remind you that as a podcast, we are all get our own share of the percentage of the monetization. So nobody in here actually has any kind of guaranteed income. And we are giving you a percentage in return for taking on certain roles. And that's Calendly, CALENDLY.com/JENNS Books and More.
So another thing that I thought to bring up is that Zita from our World of Women podcast is a like new nurse doula its own, and she is looking to and is from Nigeria, and well currently lives in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but is from Nigeria. Is looking to, because her whole thing is about women and children have anything connected with that. She's looking to have a hospital built both in Pittsburgh and over in Nigeria.
So is she looking for
Yeah.
grants or is she looking for contractors to help build it? What is she needing from our listeners?
I think the biggest thing right now, if anybody is willing or able to donate, I think that's the biggest thing at the moment. And
Where do they send their donations? Like PayPal? Where do they send it, or Zelle, or how can they get it to her?
I believe we have a GoFundMe, which I'll have up and have up connected with the show.
Okay, so they go to GoFundMe.com, and what do they search for?
Yeah, about me, I will. Well, search for. But she also has a community helper that is up and running already over in Nigeria. So if any listeners are interested in donating, there is a GoFundMe page that is called Maternity Hospital for Low-Income Nigerian Women. And no contribution is too small or too big. You can donate whatever you can. And so there's that. And if anybody wants help with that, to also let us know. And we have our disability channel that is headquartered in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. It's all about media, TV, radio, so on. There two. Would like to have. Do you have anything else you want to say, Jen?
If you're interested in learning about me or want to know more about what I do, my name is Jennifer A. Whitaker, the author. I have audiobooks as well as paper books out. And you can learn more about me by going to jensbooksandmore.com, JENNS booksandmore.com. And if you want to reach me, you can go to the FAQs where it will tell you and give you the link to my calendar, or you can hit the text button and it will send it directly to me personally on my cell phone. And that's also where you'll find Jaws Coffee Chat podcast and all of our shows on there.
So would like to give a special thanks for Jennifer and Kurt for being on here today, as well as Special thanks to Marcus Hart of Transforming Media over in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Thanks to the Jay Stoyan and the Disability Channel in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, as well as Zach Clayton and the PAC Channel over in Colorado for allowing us to have our shows on their platforms. I would encourage everybody to go to our social media pages or check out our social media pages and YouTube channel, and like, comment, share, and whatever interaction with them. And if there is anybody tuning in who either has any questions or would like more information or any questions, anything, you can connect with me and Emily Gollmer at iCloud.com. So it's EMILYGOLLMER at iCloud.com or 715-303-9835. Or you can also contact Kurt at 262-372-1754 or email but at abilitymkenow@gmail.com. So ABILITYMKENOW@gmail.com. As well as Jennifer at her information she just said a minute ago. And our next Compassionate Citizen show will be in the new year, I believe January 4th. Right, John? I think it's the beginning of in January anyway.
It's the first Wednesday of January. I don't know what the actual date is. I think it's the 4th.
Yeah, I believe that's the first two. And would encourage everybody to tune into that as well as any of our other shows. And if anybody is interested in coming on one of the show, either coming on one of the shows or want to help with the shows in any other way, or either you or know somebody that is maybe looking to start their own podcast and maybe is looking for some help or advice, to please contact us and we'd be happy to help with that. And so I want to wish everybody a happy holiday and happy and safe holiday, and have a safe and productive week and holiday. And we will
And a happy new year. See you next year.
Yeah, we'll see you in the new year.